Okay, folks, let's talk about kitchen cabinets and countertops. Um, and as I haven't stated it in any videos yet, but it's in the Blackboard, the written documentations. We're doing custom colors and finishes and stuff in this project. So I don't have all the colors selected as of yet while I'm making this video. So once I have that done, you'll have a document that states what colors that we're going to use on things. Excuse me. But just be aware of that. So let me start with the easy thing here. On our, excuse me, I got a bad cough this morning. In our laundry room, you're going to pull in, a washer and dryer, and these are standard 30-inch appliances. They're listed as 29-inch um, in the Revit library, and I'm just pulling in the the one straight from the library. What you want to do is you want to line them up. They have a rear um, alignment tool, and that gives the offset from the wall. But then left to right across here, just kind of split the difference. I mean, think about it. If you've ever had to move a washer and dryer, you got to have a little bit of room to wiggle it around. So don't jam these things straight into the wall. Give them a little space, an inch or so between them, and then whatever distance is left on the ends. Okay. The cabinet here, you'll have to duplicate and recreate a new cabinet because it is only 24 inches tall. Okay. But the head height, the top of it will be the same. Uh, I think 7 feet is whatever the normal head height when you bring it in. Then you just have to adjust it. So it's got that same head height. For the hanging rod, I just used a 15-inch deep shelf just to show that there's something there. You could certainly draw a dash line there and say hanging rod. That would be okay also. Now, one thing we're going to do on these appliances is we need to turn off the labels, and I'll show you why. Because if we go to any plan level above this, like our roof plan or a site plan, those labels show through. You can see there, dryer, washer, range, refrigerator, dishwasher. So we're going to, and I don't know of a way to limit those things. So on each of these appliances, once you get it put in, go edit type and uncheck show label. And then what we'll do is we'll actually put a piece of text back on top of it later so that just the text shows on this level here. Okay, now the refrigerator, there's a 30-inch side-by-side in Revit, so you'll need to duplicate it and make it a 36. However, watch the width of it because it's not a full 36 inches wide. I kept the same size as the 30-inch was 29 3/4 inches, so I just bumped it up to 35 3/4 inches. Okay, and of course we're going to turn off the label on it. Now, once you put it in, the alignment tool at the back pushes it too far out here, so it's in front of the door opening. So I pushed it back a little bit further, got it where I wanted it, and kind of split some distance left to right, and then I pinned it in place. Now cabinets on this side, this 8'6" dimension that it shows in the cabinet layout plan, that's finished dimension. So it goes from the face of the gypboard, face of the wall, to the end of the first cabinet up here. And so you can put that cabinet in, dimension it, and lock it in place. And then you can bring in your next cabinet. Now, the space between those two cabinets should be 2'6" because the range, and I want you to use this range electric 30-inch, it is not 30 inches wide. Okay, it's 2'5 3/4. So you can't just jam it in there and then put the cabinets up against it. So You put it in, you can play with your spacing just a little bit so that you've got a 1/4 inch side on, you know, 1/8 of an inch or whatever it takes on either side, and then pin it in place. Now, let me turn that label off. Okay. Now, and then wall cabinets are going to be the same way. They'll be aligned to the ones below. And we're going to, you can see it right. That's my range. Oh, I've got it hidden right now. I've got a microwave in here that I pulled in from a Revit City, and it's a, you know, a cabinet mount over the range microwave. And I went ahead and put it in, but we're going to hide it in our floor plan view. I didn't want to do that. I want to hide that in my floor plan view. And you don't have to do this right now. You can do it after you've got things done. But we're going to hide it in our floor plan view, but it will show in our elevation view. And then we'll use a note on our floor plan to indicate that it's there. And this way our range actually shows up. Okay, so that's the stove side wall. Now over here on the others, this is a little bit more complicated. You want to make sure this wall is in the right position. Okay, and I took it, I duplicated it, and made a and just edited it so that it will wrap at the end. So the gypsum board will wrap around. And you want to play with the length of it so that the finished dimension length is 4 foot 3 inches. That's face of drywall to face of drywall. And then you should have 12 foot 1 inch face of drywall to face of drywall here. Now my stud dimension is 12 foot 2, and so that takes up 1/2 inch drywall on either side. You want to make sure that's in the right place. And then you can pull in these two base cabinets here. Now it doesn't show a filler strip right here at the corner, but I want to show you. This is the door frame for the pantry. If we're doing a physical door in that pantry as opposed to just a cabinet door, we've got trim that's 3/4 of an inch thick in these doors that we're using. And so if we put this cabinet right against the wall, then when we go to pull this drawer out, it's going to conflict with the trim on the pantry door. Okay, I don't think there'd be enough room to pull it out. So let me just measure right there. 1 foot 2 inches. No, we'd never be able to get that door, or the drawer, sorry, in and out. So what I did is I added a 1 inch filler strip against the wall. And that's in Revit. You just pull in a base cabinet filler, put it in place, and then set the width of it to 1 inch. Okay. And then I put my two cabinets in, my two base cabinets, and lined them all up and locked them to the wall. Okay. Now these green lines right here, I drew a couple of green. They're detail lines, but when you go to draw them, choose a line style of line. That makes them green. And I drew one across the front of the wall cabinets here out, and I drew one across here and set it at 6 foot 2.5 inches finished dimension. Okay, so now that is going to give me the front of my cabinets over here where the dishwasher goes. Now, a couple of things with our dishwasher. We've got a 3-inch filler strip here that it shows us on our plan. So you can pull that in, set it at 3 inches, and move it in. Just put it in for right now. The end panel is a cabinet filler end panel, whatever. The easiest way to deal with this is to just make a wall type. Okay, and I set it at, I just created a new wall type, and I used plywood maple finish grade varnish as my material. Okay, set it at 3 inches thick. Okay, I chose that as we're going through this thing. We may change that depending on what we want to do with our cabinet as far as our finish goes, but I just chose that as a start. Okay, but I made it 3 inches thick. It's not a structural wall, so don't click that. You don't have to worry about wrapping or nothing like that. And so I drew it in, made it 34.5 inches tall, just the same height as our cabinets, and I made it 24 inches deep. And it sits on top of the finished flooring because this will be a piece of cabinetry. Okay, why is that reading 2 feet and 3/8 inch? That's weird. I thought I had a 2 foot dimension on it. Let me check that. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we want it to be 2 feet long. And put it in place because it has a measurement here of 3 foot 6.5 from the front of this cabinet to the edge of it, and then the 6 foot 2.5 from the finished drywall to the front of it. Then you can set your filler strip as being 2 feet across, and then you can bring in a 24-inch microwave, or dishwasher, which is actually less than 24 inches. And so I put it in, and then I dimensioned it off that end panel at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, and then of course once we've got that, we can edit and uncheck label. Okay, so that's got these three things in place, and we want to pin them and lock them. Next, I drew a 45-degree line from this horizontal green line in the edge of my 3-inch filler. So I drew a 45-degree line down. Okay, then I can put my sink base, which is a 33-inch sink base. I can put it in and align it to the front of that line. And I just put it in the corner so I can see what kind of distance I've got here, because we want to split that distance with filler panels. And so I brought this filler panel in, and I need to change the width of it to whatever that dimension is, and I think that's 1 inch. Yep. So this one I will change to 1 inch also. And of course it moved. The wall cabinet was aligned to it. These things get a little funny sometimes, those filler strips. Okay, so that's got my base cabinet filler strip. Now let's go back and look at my wall section. So you can kind of see what we've got going here. And I just want to clarify with you what we're dealing with. I'm putting in these filler strips and working the layout based on the type of cabinets that we're pulling in from the library. Okay. Uh, if you're going to have different types of cabinets, then all of those things, it all comes into play with what kind of cabinets that you have and how they're made. Okay, so now I need to know this distance here. 1/83/128. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll put in 2 filler strips, one on either end, and split the sizes of them so that they're equal. So I need the component, a base cabinet filler strip. And you got to remember I'm going to go ahead and put one there. And put one there. Just for right now. Okay, and now then let's do, let's go with align. And these are going to be, I want to choose the front of my cabinet since I've already got my cabinet in place. Oh, wait. Let me dimension my cabinet first. So I want to go from the edge of that to the front corner. And now I want to go with half of that value. So now I got to do some math. And I'm converting that over to a decimal. Divide that decimal by 2. So that gave me 0.824 inches. Two 256. Awesome. Okay. And so now I'm going to lock that dimension. And eventually, we'll place these, but we'll go ahead and hide these dimensions so they're not in our way. Now I can pull in my base, my filler strips. And align them to the front of the cabinet. Uh, it's, uh, it's frustrating. Okay, so let me pull that lock off of there. And you see it moves, but it's not moving the way I want it to. So I've got that side. I got it the right size. So let's go with a move component. Base point there and move it to. Okay. So that got it the right size in the right place. And so now I'm going to go ahead and go with my align tool and lock it. Okay, now I want to do the same thing up here to get that one aligned and into here. And then we will talk about the backing and the countertops.